you know that collaborations are an important strategy for you to grow your business, right? You probably heard that from a host of other digital marketers and even myself maybe on this being one of the best ways to get more reach and more visibility and make more sales. But perhaps you're wondering exactly how to do this. How do I even go about doing this? Now, if this is you, then you are in luck because I'm going to be unveiling my foolproof system on how you can collaborate your way to rapid growth. I am an e-commerce sales coach helping hundreds of female entrepreneurs just like you grow their own e-commerce businesses. Now, for the best advice on how to grow your own e-commerce business using the Viralocity formula, then subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified when I post a new video every Thursday. And today I'm going to walk you through my 3 secrets to collaborating your way to rapid growth. Now, let me tell you a bit of an experience that I had with the Chockpot. So that's my first business that really brought this concept to life for me. Now, this is a dessert bar I started over 8 years ago, and since then I've grown it to over 5 locations in Sydney. At the time, really, when we first started doing this, we were fortunate that as Instagram as a platform was growing, people were organically just growing with them, right? Which meant that not only did influencers on there have a true follower base, they weren't buying followers and there weren't people just following people blindly, like they had people who were actually following them for a reason. So this was happening, but at the time as well, these influencers didn't really have huge expectations or huge demands because they were just growing. They were just starting out. They were just exploring this thing called Instagram. So really there weren't any huge expectations put on businesses to pay them big amounts. And this just kind of isn't the case any longer, is it? Right? We now need to work with them in a way that not only adds value to ourselves, but also adds value to them and their followers. And this is key, okay? This is going to be leading into some of the things that I talk about. Now, we have to remember and go into partnerships knowing that they've built an asset in their follower base, okay? Now, influencers are influencers for a reason. They've built this follower base, which for them is an asset. And it is in their best interest to actually protect this asset from content that is not going to be relevant to them or not going to be of value to them. So about 3 years in with the Chockpot, Instagram was getting more and more saturated, right? There were so many more brands on there, so many more influencers, and I started noticing that our posts weren't getting the type of reach that they used to, right? Sound familiar? I bet you probably also noticed this with your own account. And I'm sure we all went through this period, whether it's on Instagram or whether it's on Facebook or any other platform, but we always go through these growing pains of like we find this huge success and then suddenly we feel like we've gotten shut down or because the algorithms changed. That's it, right? So I started thinking a couple of things. So how to enable us to stand out from a customer perspective, okay, but also B, how to actually enable us to stand out from an influencer perspective. So we needed to start to think about these two things in tandem, because remember that influencers are people as well, okay? They are people as well. And as people, we are always driven by what's in it for me. Okay, and again, as humans, our expectations rise after a period of success as well, right? Whatever that means to them. For influencers, success might be increase in follower numbers, hopefully engagement numbers as well. And as this happens for them, their expectations rise, right? Which means that what they are used to being happy to accept, such as free product, for example, might no longer be the case. So I remember for me, I used to work with influencers that were considered micro-influencers at the time, and they were perfectly happy to be ambassadors of our brand, and they just did it in exchange for product. We had influencers like Tara Milk Tea, who now she has like over 1.4 million followers. Lychee Pen was an ambassador and she now has something like 455,000 followers. Lily Maymac was an ambassador. She now has over 4 million followers, right? At the time when we worked with them, they weren't this big. So you can see, that they were growing. And at the time when we were working with them, as I said, like they didn't have this many followers, but they were growing. And so as they were growing, I had to think about what more we could do with them. What more could we do for them? How could we add value to them and make them feel like they were part of something? And that was it, right? That was my light bulb moment. I was like, okay, let's make them actually a part of something. Let's get them involved. And so we decided to do new monthly desserts with a handful of influencers who we had worked with. Each month we would collaborate with a particular influencer and have them help us design a dessert. They would come up with the flavor combinations and perhaps a rough sketch or provide some kind of visual inspiration for what they were thinking, and then we would bring it to life for them. And we would get them in, we'd get them to try our initial attempt, and then we would make changes based on their feedback. It was a true collaboration based on product design. And it was super exciting for them, right? Because one, they got to actually see something they designed come to life. And then two, they got to see the process of how it actually works behind the scenes. And three, they were actually able to put their name to something tangible, right? And how cool is that? Everyone wants that. So giving them the ability to put their name to something, to collaborate with us on something that was unique to them, gave them an opportunity to really promote this one-of-a-kind thing that was valuable to them and their followers, right? And then as a result, they promoted the heck out of it. There was a particular post for a dessert we did with lychee pan, for example, that got over 1,000 likes, which is way more than our usual 100 to a couple hundred. It had hundreds of shares and reposts and even got picked up by a local newspaper, right? We had one of our best month in sales. So it can definitely work wonders when you have the right offer for both your customers and for influencers, and the right promotion machine, by the way, behind it to completely amplify what it is that you're doing. And that all comes down to collaborations, right? That's it. It is so powerful. And you see a lot of bigger brands do this. You see Amazon has that whole fashion arm where they just work with influencers who want to design clothes. It's nothing new to businesses like Nike, whose whole marketing model is around collaborating with influential athletes on shoe and apparel designs, and it's propelled them to where they are today. But how do we do this as a small business, right? That's what I'm going to be talking about today. So let me know if you guys have done any collaborations that have worked well for you. Okay, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know. Okay, so let me talk to you about the 3 secrets behind collaborations to get your mind working. Because like with all things that will help you achieve success, this stuff is not easy. Okay, it's not going to be easy, but if you put the time and the effort into it, it will net you big results. All right, so let's get into it. Now, the first secret is to work out who you want to collaborate with. Okay, who? Now, there are a couple of types of people who you might want to collaborate with. So I call them influencers and list builders. The first group, which I'm sure a lot of you are aware of, are influencers on a social media platform like Instagram, like TikTok, like YouTube. Essentially, where what you are looking for are people who have gathered a large pool of people on a social media channel. All right, the factors that come into play when you're thinking about which types of influencers to work with are going to be based on things like your budget, your target audience, and your marketing objective. Okay, so let's talk through what I mean here. So for ease, I'm going to talk about Instagram influencers because for e-commerce, they're going to be, for now, probably one of the main types of influencers that you actually do work with. Okay, so definitely what I would recommend that you start with. Now, there are multiple tiers of influencers on Instagram, okay, and I'm just going to chunk them down into 3 tiers because although a lot of other people and businesses might have their own definitions, I'm going to go with this one, okay? So micro-influencers have less than 100,000 followers. Mid-tier influencers have 100,000 to 500,000 followers, and macro influencers usually have more than 500,000 followers. Okay, now if you have a small budget, your best bet is going to be to work with micro influencers. Now at this level, they are generally happy to accept free product rather than charge you to post. And this is a total generalization, okay? Don't be too surprised if you reach out to someone who has, for example, 50K following who's going to charge. Okay, now every influencer is going to be a little bit different, but that is where you might start especially if you have a small budget. Okay, they're also great to leverage if you're in a super targeted niche. Okay, and if your marketing objective isn't so much mass awareness, but more to have targeted conversations. Okay, that is where I would work with micro influencers. Now, working with micro influencers are great, and I highly recommend this. In fact, that's how I've always approached influencer marketing. Okay, I really like growing with influencers as they grow, and you can build really great relationships that way as well. However, you're going to have to work with more of them to potentially get the impact that you want. Okay, so for example, who are a platform that manages influencer relationships, They conducted a study to assess metrics like average reach and engagement rates. Okay, so for micro influencers, especially those under 10,000, they have by far the highest post reach at an average of 33.8%. Compare this to macro influencers who have about a 10.1% reach rate. That means, so let's say we choose the upper end of micro influencers and the lower end of macro influencers to compare the potential reach rate. Okay, so that means for one micro influencer who has 10,000 followers, their post on you might reach 3,300 people. Okay, for one macro influencer who has 500,000 followers, I don't know what I'm saying, their post on you might reach 50,000 people. Okay, so to get the same potential reach, there's this gap here, you'd have to work with 15 micro influencers to get to the same level. Do you see how that works? Okay, so this is why I know some of you say you've worked with an influencer and it didn't do anything for you. Working with one influencer, especially if it's a micro influencer, is not going to get you instant results. Okay, don't expect it to. You have to be working with quite a few of them to start to make a ripple effect, which means it's going to take some time. Okay, let's say you did want to work with 15 micro influencers to get the 15 to say yes to you. You're going to have to reach out to at least 150 of them. Okay, I found working with other e-commerce brands that you'll get around about a 10% conversion rate on average. So just know that if you don't want to pay influencers to post, just like with anything, you're going to be paying with your time in actually finding and reaching out and managing more of them. Okay, let me know in the comments, guys, if that makes sense. Okay, so then the second type of group are what I call list builders. Now, the reason I call them this is because unlike influencers, list builders have a list. Okay, they have an email list, an email database that they are able to reach directly. And you can think of list builders as other business owners or experts because generally they're building a list. Experts, I would say, could be anyone really, right? Anyone that has expertise and talks about a particular topic to their predominantly email audience. So for example, bloggers could be experts, right? Anyone with a newsletter could be an expert. List builders are generally forgotten as this group to think about collaborating with because I know we get seduced by the visual results of working with influencers on social media, okay? It's seductive, but it is such a powerful way for you to grow your own email list to work with list builders. And that is what you want to be doing, okay? Growing your email list, because remember that once they become part of your tribe, once they become part of your world, then you can show up for them, you can nurture them, you can get them to know, like, and trust you so that they start buying from you and become your raving fans, okay? So we know that the two groups of people that we could be collaborating with, right? They're influencers or they are list builders. Is it making sense, guys, what the difference between these two are, okay? Let me know in the comments. You want to try to be working with both of them if you can. Because now that leads me to the second secret around how to work with them, especially when you're a small business, okay? And it all comes down to what's in it for them. That's it, right? When thinking about how to work with anyone, regardless of whether they're an influencer or a list builder or really anyone else, like anyone else, this is the first question you need to ask yourself, okay? What's in it for them? Why would they even want to work with you? And that is going to be even more important when you are just starting out. Now, you can only be limited by your own imagination when it comes to collaboration ideas, right? But your starting point is to always think about what is it that they might want. If you think it's money, which a lot of times it might be, then you could pay them for posts or stories that they do, right? Or you could create an affiliate partnership with them. Now, for businesses just starting out, I'm going to assume that you won't want to pay for posts, especially given the uncertain or unknown returns you might get, which means that working with them on an affiliate basis might be the best way to start, okay? That might be monetarily what could be in it for them. And yes, it might be an initial hit to your margin, but think about it as a cost of doing business. It's just going to be part of your marketing costs to get your product and your brand out there and get some sales, okay? It's going to come down to your customer acquisition cost. That's all this is. If you don't want to work with them in this way yet, then have a think about what else. Okay, what else might they want? They might want to get more reach, visibility, potentially more followers, right? Because they themselves are growing. Okay, so this is something that they might want. How can you collaborate on something that gets you both what you want, right? Perhaps it could be some type of, I don't know, contest. Maybe you could be contributing to a gift guide depending on the season. Maybe it's pulling together a best of bundle as chosen by them. Okay, that's a great way to have them put their name on something without actually creating a whole new product. Do you see how you could literally only be limited by your own imagination? Okay, but your starting point has to be what's in it for them. Okay, it has to be not what's in it for you. Has to be what's in it for them. Okay, once you start putting all these conditions on, right, and limiting yourself to what you want, then you won't have very many people who will want to work with you. That's just how it works. You need to give. Okay, you can't just be receive. So as an example of how I might think about this for a new brand that we're working on, an e-commerce brand that we're building, it's called BakerBox NYC. Now, we don't have any set products as yet. Okay, we're still in pre-launch phase, so we're looking to build our email list now before we launch. Now, how could we collaborate with influencers and what's in it for them, given that we don't even have a product that we can send them yet? Well, if that's the case, a couple of things they might want is to align themselves with a cool upcoming brand, right? So make sure that your Instagram profile is looking good. Make sure that your website is looking good if you have one. And they'll always want more followers and more people on their email list, right? So what we could do is we could collaborate with them on a competition where one of the conditions or ways that people get points is to also follow that influencer or subscribe to their email list. Okay, that way you can both leverage each other's audiences. And even better if you can get a group of influencers or list builders to do this together, because then they'd all be leveraging each other's audiences. Okay, I'm also thinking about how I can collaborate with influencers on a particular lead magnet maybe. So we're currently building this super fun quiz that's going to determine what type of keiki you are. Okay, so we're doing some active organic outreach to influencers, see if they'd like to do the quiz, and if they do, how can we get them an output, maybe a story asset that has their picture and a description of which keiki they are, in a way that compels them to want to repost or share it. Okay, eventually, I imagine we'll start to actually co-create special keiki flavors with them. Cool, but really, guys, like, your imagination is the limit, okay? But always start with what's in it for them. Okay, let me know, guys, if you have any questions on this. Okay, so that leads me to the last secret in collaborating your way to rapid growth, and that is it's already a no. Okay, I actually did a whole separate podcast episode on this because I know how daunting it can be to perhaps reach out to that first influencer or that first list builder. Trust me, I actually just went through this myself like 6 weeks ago, because deep down, we don't want to be rejected, right? We don't. And that rejection is real when you're doing this, because not everyone is going to want to work with you. They're not. That's just fact. Okay, why would they when they probably have way more followers or subscribers than you do, right? That's exactly how I felt a few weeks ago when I decided to put together a virtual summit for e-commerce business owners. I wanted to pull together something so amazing that brought together multiple experts talking on some really important topics. I wanted to provide a lot of value for my audience, for you guys. And ideally, I wanted to get at least, in my mind, I was like, okay, target is 20 speakers. And it was freaking scary. It was scary to send that first message out and that first email, right? I spoke to a coach of mine about it, and he just looked at me. He was like, he does this thing where he goes silent for a second, and he's either going to say something funny or something judgy, okay? But he's awesome. Anyway, so he looked at me for a second. He was like, Deirdre, it's already a no. Right now, where are you, right? You're at a no, right? By not reaching out to them, you're at a no. When you do, what is the worst that could happen? I was like, I guess the worst is that they could say no. It's like, exactly. Right now, you're not reaching out to them. It's already a no. And the worst that can happen is that they say no. So you're at the same place. So you may as well just pull up your big girl panties and do it, okay? And guys, I mean, I already know this, right? I already knew this, but it was so great to get another reminder, especially when I needed it. So if you are feeling scared, if you're feeling like no one else is going to want to work with you, that you're just this small business, then come back to this point, okay? Come back to this point that it's already a no. Let me know how you guys are feeling about this. Okay, so let's recap. Now, these are the 3 secrets to collaborating your way to rapid growth. The first one is, who should you work with? Okay, there are 2 types of people you can work with. You can work with with influencers on social media who have a large following, or list builders. So they could be businesses or experts or bloggers who have an email database. Okay, now secret number 2 is what's in it for them. When thinking about collaborations, you have to start with what's in it for them. Okay, so for example, is it money? Is it followers? Is it subscribers? Is it brand alignment? Is it credibility, right? Like what's in it for them? And therefore, how do you align those and create something that gets them what they want and gets you what you want, okay? Win-win, that's what we're in this for. And the third secret is it's already a no. If you're feeling scared about reaching out, if you're feeling like no one is going to want to work with you, then come back to this point, okay? It's already a no. So what do you have to lose? All right, so with that said, comment below and tell me, which type of influencers are you going to work with first? Now you know exactly how to collaborate your way to rapid growth using my foolproof 3 secret method. Now, but what about implementing? I've written a 1-page cheat sheet that you can have on hand when you are implementing, and you might want a refresher, right? So if you want that, then go ahead, click the link below, and Dee, my bot, will send that straight over to you. And if you want to take what you've just learned to the next level, then come and join this free community of female entrepreneurs just like you, where I share even more free live training on growing your e-commerce business. So guys, go join my Facebook group at the link below. Check out this video next on how to find and work with the right influencers, and then this one down here on the secrets to building your tribe. And if you like this video, hit that like button, be sure to subscribe and share it with all of your friends, and I cannot wait to see you on the next video.